Afternoon, everyone. Can I please have another round of applause? It felt weak. Great. So thanks. I'm Joanna, project manager at Sustainable Energy Africa. But in this context, I'm representing or I'm project lead on the GET.transform policy catalyst distributed generation support window. By distributed generation, we simply mean SSCG, like in the case of Eswatini. So I'll be talking about it in the presentation. Yeah, I don't need to talk again about the systems. You've heard about it since morning. You've seen this probably in real life or pictures, but I think the point of this slide is just to show that it's happening around the world. And like you heard again in our previous panel discussion, it's happening even here in Eswatini. The only problem is that they are growing very fast. They are growing like mushrooms and catching all of us off guard, especially our key stakeholders, the utilities and the distributors or the regulators. Just to give you some context, sorry for the quality here of the image, but what I was trying to show is, in South Africa, for example, as of today, we already count about 4.8 gigawatt of distributed generation or SSCG on the grid alone, making about 8% of the national installed capacity or South Africa's installed capacity. Just close in Namibia, we have about 70 megawatt already of SSCG alone on the grid, making up about 11% of the grid, of the national installed capacity. And here in Eswatini, I'm grateful that I confirmed the number with the director just here, or the CEO just seated next to me. And in Eswatini, they have about 22 megawatt also of installed distributed generation, or SSCG, on the network, making up about 8% of the country's or the kingdom's installed capacity. So I think my key message here is that distributed generation is becoming really the foot soldier of the energy transition. And it's in our best interest to make sure it happens quite fast and in a sustainable manner. I'll also skip the explanations around distributed generations and what they look like. You're probably all aware or familiar with it. Maybe just some key points that they're connected to the distribution network. They produce electricity locally, and in periods where they generate more than what is consumed, they can export to the grid. An emphasis that I want to bring on, and we've heard that also in Nosipo's presentation in the morning, around the concerns of the utilities. One, safety, power quality, revenue impact. On the revenue side of things, it usually relates to how do distributed generators continue to pay for their fair share of the use of the grid, tariff design that they've called for. Safety aspects, usually like how does the distributed generator connect to the utility? At the utility interface, what regulates or what determines this protocol? What is the standard that it has to follow? In South Africa, we have developed what we call a utility interface standard, which is basically an extract of the grid code, which allows for these small systems to comply with the utility requirements without going into the details of the grid code. And the other question around power quality generally boils down to how much distributed generation can the utility accommodate, or can the country accommodate on feeders or on the network. And for this, you usually need grid impact studies, but it will be quite impractical to do a grid impact study for a small system of 3 kilowatt. So again, some utilities, or in some areas, they've developed this simplified connection criteria, which is a sort of tick box exercise to give comfort to the utility that if it's below this level, below this threshold, then it will probably be safe for our network and it won't have such a huge impact on the power quality. And quickly, this slide was just to show the different levels of development or penetration of distributed generation. Sorry, you can't read. But the main point is that across various stages of penetration of distributed generation, Eswatini is probably in the early stages. you always need strong or robust regulatory technical standards and tariffs. And I'm very happy that we touched on all of this in the previous sessions. Tariffs, the private stakeholders or the private sector mentioned that on the regulatory aspect or the utility requirements and technical processes. We also need them to be in place to allow such systems to connect easily to the network. And that is where our program comes in. So from our work we've done with distribution utilities over the past decade, there are usually some key elements that need to be in place for distributed generation to be integrated in a safe and compliant manner. The first is the high-level enabling environment. We heard about the master plan or the short-term expansion plan, which usually serves as the hook or as the signal to the market in terms of the country's intention regarding distributed generation. Following that, we have the regulator who puts in place the connection rules and billing or net billing mechanisms. After that, the utility puts together the processes, requirements to accept such systems or to allow such systems to connect to the grid. And like I mentioned earlier, it usually needs some sort of compliance with the code, with the grid code, and so on. Apologies again for not being able to read this. But quickly into what we provide as technical support. So the distributed generation catalyst window or distributed generation window, it's a technical assistance program or facility that supports regulators like ESERA and utilities like EEC across up to 10 African countries on aspects of SSCGs or distributed generation. Literally what we've all raised today as concerns. So the support program will run from 2023 up until 2026, so a 3-year program. And it will be, our initial target countries are obviously Eswatini, Lesotho, Mozambique, Namibia, Uganda. That's why we're actually here. Last week we were in Mozambique and Lesotho to present the same program. And we're here pitching the idea to the utility and the regulator. But the good thing is that they are already on board from our conversations that we've been having. And so in terms of the various components or what basically you'll be able to access on program, first thing is the dedicated technical support. I said we're supporting utilities and regulators in 10 African countries. Basically, you have a tailored support based on your need. Eswatini is probably the most advanced in terms of enabling frameworks, processes, and so on. So the support that you require will probably be more advanced than in all other countries. And this is what this dedicated technical support is all about. You having the support that you exactly need to advance SSCGs in your jurisdiction. You have access to technical studies. Some utilities have told us that they need studies around what is the penetration or what could be the maximum penetration of distributed generation on the network. We can offer those studies, hosting capacity analysis, legal studies, and so on. You also have access to a peer-to-peer or a networking and peer-to-peer network with other utilities and regulators in the region, not just in Africa, but also in Latin America, because the program is global. It covers the 2 continents. Capacity building activities, we are kicking off with a startup workshop next year in March in Cape Town, where we'll bring together all the partners. And there will be a series of trainings on all the aspects that you've mentioned this morning. Nosipo actually with her colleagues were at our training, was it 2 years ago? 1 year ago, yes. So they also benefited already from this training 1 year ago, and we'll be rolling out these same trainings and even more advanced models in the next 3 years. And our hope is that it also contributes to empowering EEC and ESERA on other aspects of utility or distributed generation. And then we're also developing a dedicated portal where you have access to template documents, resources from other African countries on aspects of distributed generation that can help you probably where there are bottlenecks within your jurisdiction here. And the aim of the whole project is that at the end of the 3 years, EEC has a fully fledged utility processes or policy, utility policies and processes enabling SSCGs in Eswatini. And ESERA has a fully fledged regulatory framework or connection rules and net billing rules for embedded generation. Our aim is obviously to address all the inefficiencies that currently exist and all the loopholes or all the gaps or all the bottlenecks that exist in the program or in Eswatini at the moment and across other African countries. And so with this, I think that was my last slide, right? Great, yes. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joel, for keeping time. We're moving very swiftly with our program. This is a session I think will be quite alive and exciting. It's a pitching session. We'll get to know about productive uses, innovative solutions, funding opportunities for the DRE sector in Eswatini. DRE, of course, standing for Decentralized Renewable Energy, or if you wish, Distributed Renewable Energy. So for this session, we have the lovely Sophia Abba, Policy and Advocacy Associate from the Alliance for Rural Electrification. Please may we give her a round of applause as she comes up on stage. Thank you. She is looking lovely. Please give her a better round of applause.
Hello. Hi. Well, thank you for the introduction. So we are thrilled to transition now to the last session of the day, the pitching session. So this session is a dynamic platform where private sector representatives and financiers will showcase their innovative solutions, their funding opportunities, and their transformative solutions within the DRE sector. So the goal is really to explore and present initiatives that not only will drive progress in the DRE landscape, but that also contribute significantly to broader energy transition goals. So as we delve into these pitches, we invite you to engage, ask questions. You will have a time to ask questions at the end of each pitch, so please take up on that. And with this, you can have an idea on how we can shape the future of sustainable energy in Eswatini. So without further ado, let me introduce the first speaker of today. And Mr. Chabalala is the founder and CEO of Mesama Energy, founded in 2017. Melusi is a seasoned 17-year experienced professional and executive leader who is a qualified electrical engineer, having developed, constructed, and maintained over 1.5 gigawatts worth of projects from various technologies. So, Melusi, if you will. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. All protocols observed. Hope everyone is still up and awake because I was struggling a bit. So maybe just to give a brief context on who Mesama is. Mesama Energy is a developer that is based in South Africa, in Johannesburg. We are an IPP that focuses on providing tailor-made solutions for industrials specifically, but we also look at other challenges that the market faces in terms of the energy needs. And I think in South Africa we've got really, really special needs in terms of the energy sector. So, but over and above that, what we also do is we do some consultancy services where we look at the various legs of the value chain of the energy sector. And for example, we've got clients that look for capital raising, for example. So if they've developed a project up to a certain level, but they don't know how to engage with the investors, so we come in to help them with the relationships that we have with the DFIs, private equity firms and also commercial banks. And then in cases where there's policies that need to be developed in terms of, we've done some work for Namibia, where we've helped with the development of the green policy. And other stuff that include project development as well. And then I'll move on to the next, maybe some of the challenges that we are facing as Africa, and I think this is prevalent to the rest of the African continent, that a lot of the energy centers that we have previously been owned and managed by corporates or utilities. So when you bring in the IPPs, you help in terms of, for example, if it's a corporate that produces sugar, for example. I know there's a colleague that is actually from RES. They probably would want to focus more on what they do best, and then invite other IPPs to help them with retrofitting their energy centers while they get an additional revenue stream, so they can invest that money back to their operations. So yes, we are targeting specifically areas in the Southern African region, but we've got a couple of projects that we are working on that are scattered around Africa, and some of our clients are the pulp and paper clients, utilities, manufacturing, mining, and obviously the financing community as well. So this is some of the stuff that we do in terms of the energy efficiency and hybrid solutions that we cater for in terms of industrials. And we look at various technologies that include wind, solar, PV, CSP. I know maybe some of the people don't believe in CSP anymore, but there is some CSP that is actually undergoing development in KZN in South Africa. Biomass as well. How I first got introduced to energy projects in Eswatini was when I was head of origination and business development at ENGIE, where we were looking at biomass projects in Eswatini, or opportunities that were available in Eswatini. So I do know quite a bit about Eswatini and the market itself. And also we look at the gases, LNG, hydrogen, some of the work that we've done. Actually, the first hydrogen project that was done by Anglo American, I was the originator of that project. And yeah, so these are some of the examples in terms of the SPVs that own the power plants. So I think one of the colleagues or attendees that is here mentioned something about what is the local government doing in terms of giving local companies a competitive advantage. So our view is that the pie is too big. We cannot do this alone, and we want to collaborate with local companies because there's skills to be shared, there's information to be shared. There's quite a lot that can be done if we collaborate instead of operating in silos. So that's our view, and why we are here also is just to say that we are open to getting into those collaborations and helping the country to do the work that it needs to do in terms of seeing those targets reached. So this is some of the delivered projects that we've done in South Africa. And as I mentioned, we've done some work with Namibia, where we've advised them on their green policy and some of the projects that they are doing specifically in the RED program that they have running. So this is some of the opportunities that we have that we are participating in South Africa and other countries that are in the Southern African region, and included there is Eswatini as well. So we are engaging with a few local players also in terms of opportunities that are domestic to Eswatini. So this is just the team, and the team in total, I think we've got about 3 gigawatts worth of experience in terms of project development. So project development, project execution, and operations and maintenance of these projects across the various technologies in the generation, transmission, and distribution of electricity. So yeah, I'll just stop here for now, and maybe no, I do have a few notes that I wanted to make. Oh, I think I've made them all. Thank you.
Will there be any questions? Yes? I will go to you. But
Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Tandega. That was a lovely presentation. I just want to find out, is there a reason why SPVs own the plants you spoke about? You spoke about special purpose vehicles. Is that what you meant by SPVs? And is it a risk mitigation strategy, or is it because corporate isn't interested in owning these plants? Why SPVs?
So both your views are actually correct. So some would look at it from a risk perspective. Some would look at it, especially if it's a corporate that wouldn't want to have the asset on their balance sheet. So normally, in most cases, these kind of projects actually have a lot of partners that are coming together to actually deliver the project. So the SPVs specifically created to govern to create just one company that will actually look at bringing in all of the investors or the parties that are in the that are actually going to be owning that particular plant. Is there any other question? I may have been very boring or... All right, thank you. Sure.
thank you, Melusi. Thank you so much. I will now call Faith Chegg to join me. She's a portfolio manager at EEP Africa. She has over 12 years of experience in renewable energy. And now the floor is yours, Faith, if you will.
Thank you, Sophia. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Faith. I'm here all the way from Kenya. It's my first time in Eswatini, and it's a great honor to be here today. Thank you, and I'm excited to talk to you about EP Africa, and I believe I'm on the side of solutions, so hopefully you get as excited as I have been meeting some of your entrepreneurs today. So who is EEP Africa? We are a multi-donor trust fund funded by the governments of Austria. I've seen that you're there with a lot of presentations today. Denmark, Finland, Iceland, NDF, Switzerland, and between sending this presentation and last week, we've now had Norway join us, getting our commitment of funding to about 88 million euros. We are open-ended, so as we continue to do what the donors are excited about, we continue to exist, and we've been around for about 11 years now. We are in Southern and Eastern Africa with Eswatini as one of our focus countries. However, and sadly, hence they sent me here in person, we have not made one investment in Eswatini in the last 11 years of our existence. So hoping we can change that by the end of this presentation. We are, by virtue of being donor financed and using public financing, risk tolerant, and we like to invest in the very early stage companies and really support them through those first years of piloting innovation, and thereafter help them in raising subsequent financing. And the fund is managed by the Nordic Development Fund, who sit in Helsinki, in Finland, and implemented by SNV and Open Capital. So I work directly with SNV and sit in the SNV office in Nairobi. And something happened there. Okay, we're back. So how do we do this? We have open calls for applications every year. So we have one coming up in Q1 in February, March next year. And that means applications come in, we review them, and then our investment committee makes a decision. And we do this investments through two instruments, grants and repayable grants, with up to 500,000 euros of grants, and repayable grants meaning 0% interest loans at about €1 million. So quite significant for early stage companies, with a requirement for co-financing of about 30%. And I think one lesson we've learned is that for especially local companies, it's hard to raise that 30%. So we've now introduced in-kind contribution to just make that possible. And over and above financing, we also offer business development support and investment facilitation. And I think in the last years have partnered with GET.Invest, who have done a really good job of bringing in some really good bankable projects onto our portfolio and supporting them on the finance catalyst side for them to be able to raise subsequent financing. What does success look like for us and the entrepreneurs we invest in? As you can imagine, being donor funded, we are definitely looking for impact. So the jobs created, reduction in CO2 emissions, capacity of energy installed in these countries. And then on the end of entrepreneurs, we want to see companies with a good tip composition. And then we help them in getting their decks, their financial models, and all that in order. And at the end, the idea is after 2 years, they actually have a proven product that they can go to market with and also be able to raise subsequent financing. So just an example of what happened this year. 2023, we had a call for applications in April, received 507 applications. Unfortunately, not even one from Eswatini. So I hope we can change that. And then go to DD, shortlisted 80 companies, went through pitch interviews, longlisted 80, shortlisted 42, went to investment committee. This was about a month ago, and 32 companies have now been selected who will be joining our new cohort next year. And exciting again, amazing to see GET.Invest here, because out of the 32, they've supported 9. So I'm really hoping can see more synergies on that end. So just some tips for companies that we look at. We're in 15 countries, and as I said earlier, and all we need is that the companies are registered startups, social enterprises. So we don't invest in NGOs. They need to have a name to make a profit. And then after that, we'll walk with you through 24 months of a journey. At max, that can be less. And as I think I've heard through the day, there's need for feasibility studies. Iceland is one of our latest donors, so we're interested in geothermal, for example. We're looking at pilots, replication, scale up from other more developed countries. Kenya is big on solar home systems, so I could imagine 10 years ago, we invested in the D-Lights and M-Coppers of this world. So I could see an opportunity there for us on this end, and of course, mini-grids, and a lot of lessons, I think, on productive use appliances and e-mobility that we could transfer to this market. We are purely renewable energy, though agnostic on technology, so we don't do LPG. It matters that the feedstock used, especially for waste to energy, is not for food consumption or feeding animal feed. So in that case, I could imagine the sugar industry with the bagasse for briquettes and clean cooking, as well as for ethanol, as really good fits for us. So what does a grant cover? Our idea is to really come in at the very early stage and the beginning of the curve before the valley of death, and really work with the companies. So we'll cover staff costs, we'll cover BDS, marketing, we'll cover office costs and everything that a company would need for them to really get to the place where they have proven their concept and are actually bankable and at least have enough traction to be considered for investment. And desired grantee characteristics, we really like investing in women entrepreneurs, and really exciting to see a really good gender representation and balance in your country. The scene is a little different in Kenya, so this is quite exciting. And so local companies, women-led companies, but also syndicates where technology is transferred from abroad to the market, but with good and clear partnerships on the ground. And then, of course, we like to know what is not working. So as much transparency as possible about the challenges that the companies are facing. And then on desired projects, we want to see innovation. And I think one of the questions I've gotten over and over is we're not using the same criteria for Kenya as we would Eswatini. Kenya is a more developed market in some ways. So in that case, the reason I'm here is to understand what the country needs and also mirror what innovation looks like. So solar home systems, for example, have been mentioned. Clean cooking would be one. And so we're very much listening to the market. And if the market is nascent, then we are flexible to make sure that we are looking at that. But in Kenya, for example, we're not investing in solar home systems anymore. The market is developed enough. And what we need is for anyone who may be interested in preparing, you just have to be registered for at least 6 months, have your documents in order, have some reports, a clear indication of what your business does, a business case, at least have done some market research, and also have an idea of a good market fit. And then we get a lot of questions around, do you have to have the co-financing? You at least need to have a plan, and that can come from grant funding, debt, other kinds of financiers, and we will also support you if there are major gaps. And then also looking at, again, like I said, we're not investing in NGOs, but all this is on our website for anyone who may be interested. And then on the next steps for our next call happening in February, March, we're opening that call in 2024. Kindly have a look at our website. We'll publicize that and share the news, of course, through our partners who are in the room. And also, if you feel your business idea is too early, you can always talk to us and get a better understanding of what we're looking for, and then we can give you some feedback before the call. Yeah, so that is us in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, Faith. I hope that will give ideas to the people here. Will there be any questions? I think no. Yes, in the back. Oh, and here. Okay, we'll do the lady in the back first, and then right here. Thank you.
Thank you, Faith. My name is Lomkosi Alabi. I'm with Standard Bank. I want to first find out, is there a minimum ticket size in terms of how much can be asked for from this fund? And then secondly, what has been done to create awareness around it? And who are you partnering with locally? And the reason I ask that is that as banks, many times we have projects that are not yet at a bankable stage and need the kind of funding that you have, which is startup in terms of closing that gap. Who is facilitating the awareness for EEP in Eswatini? And how then do we work collaboratively?
Yeah, thanks for those questions. So our desired floor is 200,000 euros. We have invested in less than that, but most of the time I think we encourage the companies to at least ask for 200,000. A lot of the companies are asset heavy or capex heavy, so in that case 200,000 has been the floor. Who are our partners here? I just got here yesterday, so I am the beginning of the awareness, and really hoping to get more partners. So very happy to speak after this, and very happy to also have partners on the ground. I'm here until Thursday, so very happy to have those discussions to begin more awareness and partnership in the country locally. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, Faith, for the comprehensive presentation. My name is Tabi Lenkos. So the question is on the eligible companies to apply for the funding. So it came as companies, so I just want to find out if government-led projects or maybe those that are led by government entities would qualify for funding.
Thank you, Madam Director, for that question. So we have two levels, I would say, within an application. So you have a lead applicant, and that has to be a company. However, partnerships with non-governmental institutions or governments are allowed. So the primary partner has to be a company, registered company. However, governments as well as NGOs can come in as partners to that project. Yeah.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Follow up? No? All good? Director? All set?
was thinking that now, if we say company, then would the, there are government companies, would they qualify as the lead?
Okay.
Yes.
I can talk to you on the side on the proper definition. However, it means the aim is to make profit. So in that case, I think we can have a discussion on it. I will find you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Faith. And thank you for the questions. So with this, we move to our last speaker. So may I call Rex Brown to the stage. He has over 30 years of experience in the environmental sector. And Mr. Brown has been working in the climate change space, using renewable energy as a means to adapt to our changing climate. Thank you so much, Rex.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, I'm a last-minute stand-in for this pitching session, but I have a pitch that I want to pitch. In the last year or so, I've been working with the Eswatini Cane Growers Association and the Eswatini Sugar Association on a project to strengthen the viability and productivity of smallholder sugarcane farmers in the country. We have over 17,000 hectares of smallholder sugarcane in the country, representing something like 300 individual farming companies. One of their biggest costs before transport is the cost of electricity for pumping. And through distributed renewable energy grids, we're developing a project to solarize or solar power all those farmer companies. By doing so, we reduce their costs to make their profitability higher or more strengthened in a very difficult market. We also allow them to strengthen the local economy wherever they are located, from north to south in the Lowveld. We know where they kind of exist. And also to develop the skills with those farmers beyond farming, but also to include now solar power and the maintenance and the running of their own solar grids. Now that's a productive use of solar that we're trying to promote through the Sugar Association and the Cane Growers Association. We applied for some technical assistance from the Climate Technology Center and Network in Denmark, CTCN. So for the last almost a year now, we've had technical assistance here doing a feasibility study for this project. They finish probably middle of next year. The outcome is a bankable report. We can use that report and the data that it contains to take the project for funding or shop it around the various funding opportunities around there. So that's a very good project to support those farmers in a difficult climate-changing world, where at some point they will have to migrate from sugar farming to energy farming. The climate's changing so fast, it's going to become more and more difficult to grow sugarcane in those areas. And certainly by 2030, it's going to be very difficult. So if they can be given solar energy and solar grids, there's an income stream potentially awaiting them there. In terms of innovative solutions, one aspect we're looking at the moment is the use of artificial intelligence and its application in the management of these grids. So we'll have something like 300 grids representing something like 50 megawatts of power. And we want to use artificial intelligence to link those grids together and make decisions around that grid on energy generation, on energy optimization, the sharing and the wheeling of power between the farms, because you've got farms up north. I think the CEO of EEC was saying, they have their one farm down in the south. When it's cloudy, we don't get electricity. Obviously, if they had 5 farms scattered around the country, we'd probably get power from all of them, except for the one where it's cloudy. So using artificial intelligence, we can use real-time data, real-time data, satellite data and the like, to assist in the optimization of those grids. It can help also with the energy trading, because there's a potential with, if they're not irrigating with that power, we've got power that can be sold, and using artificial intelligent applications, we can train that application to embark on trading as well, to optimize how those individual farms and farmers can try and make more money or make additional money, income, revenue, from the selling of power to whoever. With the wheeling regulations in place now, it's possible obviously to wheel that power from one area, from a generator to a user. So artificial intelligence, yes, we know, we've probably been reading about it with ChatGPT and the like. That's just the latest one version of a large language model. But artificial intelligence and its application in energy management is is undergoing quite explosive growth at the moment. We want to tap into that. In terms of the pitching on funding opportunities, well, there is, as someone put a slide up earlier, there's lots of money out there. You've just got to be able to sell the right project. And we're hoping, with our support from CTCN, that we will have this bankable document that we can use then to apply to the various funds that on the different calls, like the EEP now. In February, March, we will submit an application for that because we'll have the bankable project, we have all the data, all the information that we need, all the economic data that we can use to make a good application. Now, funding opportunities exist all the time. You just got to monitor the social networks, yeah? Your Twitters, your LinkedIn, your Facebooks and the like. You just got to follow the right institutions to learn about these funding opportunities. And there's funding opportunities arising every day, or well, not every day, but let's say every couple of weeks you'll find a new funding opportunity. If you don't monitor it, you can sit there and say, there's no money. But to be honest, there is a lot of funding out there, and you've just got to have the right project for that. You've got to be prepared for these bankable, for these calls for proposals, and we believe with the feasibility study and the bankable report that will come out of it, the Sugar Association and the Cane Growers Association will always be ready to respond to any call for proposal, as and when they arise. So that's what I've got to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rex. Indeed, he agreed to step in at very last minute. So I think we can applaud him for him. Thank you so much. Could we perhaps have one question? Is anyone curious about the projects that he mentioned here in Eswatini? Do I see a hand there? No, I imagined it. No.
No technology needs from the artificial intelligence.
I mean, come on. No? Oh, yes.
The first artificial intelligence project.
Thank you very much, Rex, for your presentation. Question I'd like to pose to you and other players as well is whether or not a comprehensive analysis has been done on the impact of the price of electricity if we increase the level of renewables such as solar, excluding those that provide a stable power supply throughout the whole day. the impact it will have on the import prices if we exceed a certain level of, say, 30% of solar into the grid.
Certainly, and that's where the artificial intelligence comes in, because that will constantly monitor demand and generation and try and match that to the supply available from these 300 odd farmers. But of course we expect the price to be fairly low. The price we pay now for the predominantly Eskom supplied energy, which embedded within it are high costs of generation, high costs of corruption, high costs of mafia involvement. We would expect energy generated through solar to be at least half the price. Yeah, we can't use the Eskom price as a benchmark, because that's embedded with so much extra weight that we don't need for our solar. So I would say it's going to be cheaper, but of course there needs to be partnership and cooperation with the regulator, with the utility on this, because we will offer our farmers, or the farmers, potentially have 50 megawatts of power available, which can be somehow traded, used, and they're from north to south. So if it's cloudy in the south, in Soko or Spofaneni, it's probably sun shining in Chaneni. So we would expect, and they're using the optimization abilities of artificial intelligence, we'll be able to smooth out that those differences. But yeah, renewable energy does is a commercial threat to EEC. I can see that until they get into the generation game. 10 megawatts, just selling power is one thing, but you've got to be able to generate it yourself. So hopefully EEC will also be building more farms, because you've got to have something to sell. Otherwise, you'll get, commercially it gets more difficult for you.
Thank you very, very much. Oh, another question there. Right there, and that table.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, sorry, the last question, and then we move on.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Musa Masedela. I work for Eswatini, or Iwade now, yes. Maybe I wouldn't say it's a question. I would start by commenting and commending Rex for the project that he's doing for the farmers, because some of us in this room are working for a cause, which is poverty alleviation and empowering other people in the grassroots to actually be part of mainstream economy. So in this case, thinking about a farmer who is paying exorbitant prices for energy is quite a noble idea, and I would really appreciate to know more about your research or your study that you are doing, because in our projections we have found that some of our farmers will be under the bus in the coming few years with the increase of the electricity costs. And as you may know, that in many other countries where farmers are subsidized, in Europe they are subsidized, in South Africa there are energy subsidies, but farmers at grassroots level, there is no stratification. They are just blanket, they are just treated the same as the large growers, wherein the tariff is the same. And the farmer is paying the same. I didn't want to ask that question because today we are talking about investments and profit making. So it wasn't something that is going to sit well with some of you, because you are just investors in here and wanting to participate in energy generation. So now that Rex has actually presented this project, it's actually giving me the leeway to comment and say that's really very good. There is a mother somewhere down there that is farming tomatoes and using energy, and is paying, I would say, the same tariff that the other big players are paying. So, are paying, yes. So really, I really like that project, and I would want to know how we can participate in ensuring that that project sees the light of day through the Eswatini Cane Growers Association. And as EWAID, we would like to know how really you would want us to contribute to that discourse, because we have mini grids for our potable water schemes that we have installed in many other parts. I would say about 5 schemes now. We are retrofitting solar into that to make sure that at least if my grandma at that project is failing to pay for the pumping cost, the solar is able to supply minimum supply to her, for her to continue living. So that's a noble idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for the last comment. And with that, we will move to the last item of the agenda. That is the certification ceremony for the Investment Academy here in Eswatini. So the Investment Academy is Swazi companies that have been trained in the past few months on how to access finance for their businesses and projects, on how to develop bankable project proposals. So may I now ask Robert Adam, Chargé d'Affaires at the European Union delegation to the Kingdom of Eswatini, to join me on stage. And I will call the participants to the floor one by one to receive their certificates. Thank you very much. Hello. Yes. So, would you like to say a few words? So, apologies for the upcoming pronunciation. I will try my best, really, really. So, Obile Gama from Clamor Solar.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Patience Matsebula from Clamor Solar. Simon Kumalo from Infinite Renewable Energy. No Simon? Okay, maybe later. We continue. Marcelino Silveira from Lighthouse Africa Investment. Justice Kwame, I'm really sorry, from Lighthouse Africa Investment as well. Blindizi Habangan from Netcom. Marius Uis from Simple Swazi. Thank you. And last one, Constance van Zwedem from Rea Eswa. Thank you.
Thank you to all of you who attended the forum today, and of course it also continues tomorrow. Great thank you for all those who made it possible, for the working hands beyond the organization, and I wish you fruitful debates also tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the closing remarks from the Charge d'Affaires, Mr. Robert Adam. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the official close of day one of our forum. It has been a very successful day. I am still amazed at the level of concentration of all of you.